Listen, hey guys, welcome to Dark Arts Podcast. We're here with another video once more live. I'm here with Jay Anderson once again. Before you ask me why I got a balaclava on and why I got a mask on, just pay attention to what we're going to talk about today. Don't worry about this. So we focused on what's happening here. We focused on what the topic is going to be about. Okay? Today we're talking about dating with finance. Okay? Dating and finance. All right? That's what we're talking about today. Dating and finance. Jay, how you doing today, man?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling great coming from the gym, so I'm in a good mood. I feel energized and I'm ready. Some people already said that they're ready today to get foolish, so I guess I'm ready too.
That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear, Cap. That's
How you
what
feeling?
I like to. I'm feeling good, you know. I'm feeling good. You get me? So I'm not even too bad. I'm not even too bad. You feel me? So, like I said today, I'm a sophisticated criminal. You feel what I'm saying? We're gonna take this topic apart. You know what I mean? And we're gonna break it down and represent it back to the people. Then you get me? Yeah.
Let's
Cool.
go. I'm ready.
All right. Cool. Well, most about the first video. You know, like I said, because I thought this was a good video to tackle, actually have a conversation around dating and finance. Again, today's topic, guys, dating and finance.
The first weekend with the guy, she asked him, she said, "Are you gonna call an Uber for me?" And then he was just like, "Okay, like where do you live? Yada yada yada." Anyway, he sorted it out. They had a great time. And she wasn't like she was asking like a dickhead. She was being really nice about it. She never just said like, because I read it, so I analyzed like, okay, no, you asked really nicely. Anyway,
right.
Needless to say, they had a good time. They went out. You know, they basically like bar hopped because, you know, it was one of them ones where you have such a good time, you don't want to go.
Let's get to the next page.
And she was telling me how like much they were just laughing and enjoying each other's company. The following week, she has a date with another guy. She says the exact same thing. She's talking to him really pleasantly. She says, "Are you gonna sort out like an Uber or a cab for me?" And then he says, "No, you could get like a cab, train, or bus yourself.
He's a bastard.
I'll be doing the same."
Did that not happen to me?
That's happened to me as well.
And I was just like, you know what? If he didn't want to do it, that is absolutely fine because you can't force a man to do anything. But I felt like his delivery, the way he
shady
said
as
yourself,
fuck. Yeah,
like telling her all the types of like vehicles.
Very fucking shady.
He might as well have told her that she could take her foot and walk.
Walk there.
Yeah. And I told her, I said, "Babe, this guy will slap you. You know that this guy can slap you because if you can talk to me like that, you can actually slap me." Because why are you so angry? And then you expect you haven't met yet. We have not met, but
I don't want peace. I want problems always.
Well, before we get any further, there is actually the text messages that actually came out. I can show you that in the conversation if I remember correctly. I think they have it under the tweets. I'll show you that just to kind of give it more clarity, so we don't jump ahead of the gun. Okay, all right. So let's just have a look at the text here. This is the text I know you can't see. I'm gonna make it bigger for you guys. Okay, so the text says, "Morning, lovelies." 9:15 a.m. by the way. Morning, lovely. I sure did, hun. Did you? I think he said, "I hope you slept well." And she replied, "I sure did, hun." He's in white, by the way. He says, "I did too. Are you still free to meet today?" "Yeah, hun. Just a bit later." Okay. He puts he posts the oyster catch green Greenwich.co.uk, and then he puts 8 p.m. or 9 p.m., which is better. She says 9 p.m. is better. Will you be picking me up or getting me an Uber? He says 9. He highlights the message and says, "Okay, nice. I will not be able to do any of those. I'm not able to do any of those. Get a cab, train, or bus for yourself. We'll find my way there too." Now that's what he said to her. Okay, so that's just to give us a bit of an idea in terms of the conversation there and what happened. Okay, so again, we're talking about dating and finance within this current clock 2023. What's your thoughts, bro? What's your thoughts right now? Just hearing that video, looking at that evidence. What's your thoughts, sir?
You know, this is an example of me. Okay, so first of all, let me get this out of the way because people are just, you know, with myself and Kojo, you have to understand, we're not stingy people. We're not broke people. You're not, I don't know what other keywords to use. We, you know, what we earn is way better than average. Where we're going is astronomical, right? We got so much ahead of us, right? And compared to where we already are. So whatever we say is not operating from a place of being broke, being anything negative. What we're going to be talking about today is common sense, wisdom, and having a mutual understanding. Right. So let's not have that man bashing or anything like that. However, what I will say in general before I get to the point is operate within your finances. And that's to the men. Operate within your finances. So what my thoughts is straight away, this completely tells me that they're not for each other. Now, my mindset will say if you had a car, go and pick her up. But if it's a first date, does he need to send her an Uber? He can do if he really wants to. But again, it's what precedence does that set? Because then what's stopping her from thinking that he needs to do that every single time? Especially because another guy did it. And this is where the problem comes. What another guy will do, another guy won't do. What another guy won't do, another guy will do. So you know what? I don't fault her for making that point because someone else did it. But where I struggle to understand is where OLONI started talking about with the aggression and all that stuff. Where does that come from? It's a text. I don't understand where you know, she looked at what her friend said and okay, yeah, it was calm, etc. But through text message, all of a sudden it's turned into a negative aggression. Like, where did that come from? What type of story creation was that? Now, to me, that's created a narrative that's not fair. Because he doesn't have to do any of these things. He doesn't have to. And neither does this speak to his character. Because we live in the same world, same time frame, where we have women that will say, I don't want a man to do none of those things. I don't want him feeling like I owe him anything. So to me, it's about that communication way before you even get to a first date. I'm not going to say expectations about, well, you can talk about expectations about the date. But to me, you know, that shouldn't have happened. However, the fact that it did happen, I want to know, did she actually go out on a date? I want to know, you know, did they call it a day from there? Because this is where, to me, it starts getting annoying. Because this didn't need to be out there. Who knows what this guy is, but he didn't need to be embarrassed like that. It's so unnecessary. But I'm going to come back to it. Guys, the lessons that you're going to learn through this podcast, the lessons that you've learned in life, operate within your means. Any woman that you come across that's not willing to work with you, with your means, walk the other way. The same way, ladies, if you have a particular standard and you have a man who's not willing to meet that, walk the other way. You don't need to clash. What are you saying, bro?
Well, absolutely, bro. I mean, I think when I watched it, the first thing that frustrated me was literally the joke, which we know that it can become a rhetoric real quick. The joke about, you know, if he said you can get the bus, he can basically be abusive, basically. There's no correlation there, none at all. And as much as she might be joking, it's actually even quite infuriating because automatically what it does is it links you saying that you have boundaries now being as abusive. So I have boundaries and I'm saying to you that, you know what, you can get a bus, car, train, whatever. And you're able to see that as being aggressive. But, and I'm not going to say it is personally, you're not going to see that her asking for Uber is aggressive. I don't think it is. She asked for an Uber. I said, you know what, you can get the bus, train, or the fare. Now, could it have been said a bit better? So that's communicated very well. Yeah. Is it aggressive? No. You know, I think that needs to be very, very clear. And I think making a joke about the fact that, you know, it could have been, you know, if he can say that he can slap you, it's the kind of stuff we don't want to see promoted. You know what I mean? I like OLONI. I do actually. I actually follow her already on Twitter and stuff. So I've got no problems with her at all. It's just that particular video. I was just like, what? How are we linking the two? You know what I mean? How are you telling me your boundaries? You want me to do this as an expectation and as a standard. And I'm telling you, I don't agree that standard. And it's my money. And I want to do what I want to do with it. But I'm aggressive for telling you no. Doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? Doesn't work like that. Yeah, so that for me personally was where I had a big problem with it. Just to play it again for the beginning, actually, because I think I know I got the tweet, but I'll put up the video from the very beginning, because it's quite interesting. Because obviously, I just want to talk for the fellas, you know, because the fellas sometimes they are suffering in this situation, you know, and you know, if you hear the story, you can see why we're suffering.
With another guy. Going on a date, right? So she went on an amazing date, and the following weekend she was about to go on a date with another guy. The first weekend,
let's pause it right there. Let's just listen again one more time.
I
This is why I got the mask on today.
I was about to come in there.
This is why I got the mask on today. Okay, oh, we ain't gonna play like that. Let's listen to that first part again, just to get a bit of understanding.
On a date, right? So she
Mm.
went on an amazing date, and the following weekend she was about to go on a date with another guy. The first weekend with the guy, she asked him, she said, "Are you gonna call an Uber for me?" And then he was just like, "Okay, like where do you live? Yada yada yada." Anyway, he sorted it out. They had a great time, and she wasn't like she was asking like a dickhead. She was being really nice about it. She never just said like,
Get me
because
a
I
cab.
saw, I read it, so I analyzed like, okay, no, you asked really nicely. Anyway,
Right.
needless to say, they had a good time. They went out. You know, they basically like bar hopped because, you know, it was one of them ones where you have such a good time, you don't want to go
Let's
home.
go to the next
And
place.
she was telling me how like much they were just laughing and enjoying each other's company. The following week, she has a date with another guy. She says the exact same.
That's where we need to pause. That's where we need to pause. Okay, that's where we need to pause. That's where we need to pause. The first date was so good, so amazing, so gracious, so fantabulous, so wonderful. Yet next week you're on another date with somebody else. I'm not saying that she can't do that. I'm just saying to you, this is the game that we're facing right now. Okay, it's the game we're facing. Okay, that's what I just want to just bring that to the table first. What are you saying, bro?
So you see me. This is why in the beginning I would always make things clear. If you want to date somebody, no problem. If you want to explore your options, no problem. But not at my expense. If I'm gonna be the man and do the things that I do, and I like, as some of you who've listened to us for a couple of weeks and know, I like my dates. I like having fun. I like, doing things that cost quite a bit. Like, I'm not stingy. Someone put thrifty. I'm not thrifty at all. You know what I mean? I thank God I have the ability to do certain things that other people, may not be able to do, at least quite regularly, which is fine. But I'm not going to do these things while you're still out there dating other men. Now, for me personally, I'm not going to be dating other women. If I decided to date you and I want to go on further dates, I'm not going to be taking 2, 3, 4 women out. I know people do that, and it's entirely up to you. This topic ain't about, let's say you're how many men you date or how many women you date. That's entirely up to you. We're just looking at the practicality of it, because as men, we're the ones who spend the most in these dates, right? For some men, especially during the dating stage, they've never had a woman even take them out or anything like that, which is fine. Again, I'm not getting into the debate. I'm a man. Let me as a man do what I need to do. But I think we was talking about this, right? And I have a friend. He went on 9 dates. 9 dates. 2 of them was like, second dates, but the rest was different women. I think in a space of 2 months, he spent around £4,000, which would be what, maybe $4,700, $5,000. None of those women became his missus at all. So to me personally, I had to say to him, so what did that amount to? He said to me, he knows he will never, ever do that again. Now, this guy's a respectable guy. He's sensible. He's wise. So I had to say to him, bro, why did you do that? One is because he had the money. So just because you have the money doesn't mean we need to be stupid. Like, don't forget, as Christians, we also always need to remember how we need to manage our finances is very different. Very different. Not only when you're single, but also when you're married. Because it all equates to it. So when we're, at a stage where we're supposed to be getting to know somebody and we're throwing money, I don't understand that, because I have to ask myself, are you throwing money because you don't have no game? Are you throwing money because there's nothing about you that is appealing? Because one of the things I get tired of is guys saying, I'm meeting these gold diggers or women only want money, but all you're doing is flashing the cash. So what do you expect you're going to meet? This to me, this to me blows my mind. So I will say to every single man, if you truly want a woman to love you for you, make sure she sees you. What you come with is a bonus. What you're going to achieve is a bonus, but make sure she sees you. Make sure she wants you. Make sure she feels you. But when you're doing all these things almost from day one, you have to understand, you got to keep it consistent. Because the moment you're not, she will let you know.
Look at you different.
And she will let her girls know. And obviously now we've seen, what did OLONI say? Went on an amazing date. Wonderful. But weekend she's on another date with another guy. What? Like, That to me, I don't understand, but maybe I'm old school. Because that behavior isn't conducive to, I actually want this guy. She may have enjoyed the date, but did she actually want the guy who took her out on a date? These are the questions
That's
I
the
have. And, and it's these small things that a lot of guys miss. But I'll even say for the ladies, it's the same thing with you sleeping with a guy on the first date. Now that's going to be an expectation because you've already passed that, you've already passed that barrier. At the moment you don't do that, he's not going to raise questions. In fact, as we know, why is he going to commit to you? End of the day, you don't even want a guy to commit to you just because you've had sex, right? And I'm speaking like this is a Christian podcast, but we're going to be real about it because you're going to live your own life. You're going to do the things that you believe you want to do. So you have to talk about everything. But it's the mindset that goes into it. Like, what do you want out of this? What do you want out of life? What do you want out of relationships? And it starts from now. And I always say, having been married has given me a different outlook on what being single means. So all of these little things I see as crazy now. I see as silly. Back in the day when we're single, all excited, yeah, I'm going to do this. But when you reach a level of maturity and a level of, responsibility and a level of accountability, you realize these things are nonsense. They don't mean nothing. As a man, I don't even want the type of woman that I have to spend £5,000, £10,000 just dating. It don't make sense. For me personally, the type of wife that I want and that I do have is a woman that's going to say, do you know what? Don't worry about that. Let's continue to build so we can get what we need to get in the future. That's what every man truly wants. Now, before I start speaking, there's another story, right, about an NFL player that was married to a singer. I can't remember her name, but all of you who are like 30 and up will know who the singer is. Now, she married this NFL player. Straight away, she said, bye-bye career, no more. So that was an agreement that they both made. Before I carry on, anyone who meets someone, fiance, going to get married, have the conversation. If this primary income stops today, what are we going to do? We live in a time where unless you earn astronomical money and you're being wise, you need to have contingency plans. As a sports player, there's a shelf life. Unfortunately, he got injured, so he had to, stop playing football earlier than he wanted to. Now, he was flashing the cash, splashing, doing everything that, he felt made him, whatever he felt. But the money ran out. And he didn't know what to do from there. Now, they went on Bishop T.D. Jake's show, right? And this is the scenario they was talking about. You can see it on the show, even in front of everyone, that he was being emasculated. He was holding his head in shame. He couldn't even operate as a man. He looked like a boy. And his wife looked frustrated, looked angry. I'm not saying I don't understand. I 100% understand. But it's the dynamic of what money does. So Bishop T.D. Jakes, he had to ask her a few questions. And what she actually admitted as to what, because she had all these other excuses as to why she was treating him this way, because she felt she shouldn't have to be the one to have to provide. She felt under no circumstances should have been a time at all where she needed to be relied upon. The contract was, I'm going to stop building my career and I'm just going to be at home. That was the contract. What he turned around to her and said, and it's not the point that we're making now, but what I feel the story was that, look, you're married. There's going to be times where you just need to pull up your socks and get on with it. You can't keep shouting at him, blaming him, etc. What's happened has happened, but you're in a partnership. While he's trying to figure out what to do from there, you need to do your part. And she didn't know what to say. But that's a conversation about something else. But the point I'm trying to make is, as men, you have to be wise. Spending, as we saw, 500K, if that's true, on Ice Spice, it makes no sense. 500K is a lot of money for anyone, even athletes. There's going to be a time where unless you put things into businesses, unless you are completely wise with your money, you're going to look back and think, why did you do that? Right? Someone like Adrian Broner, I don't know if any of you know who that is, a boxer, right? Adrian Broner. He is someone now that looks back. There you go. He's thinking, why did I do all of that stuff? But again, it's, we can talk about discipline. We can talk about what money means to you. We can talk about financial literacy. But it's these things that are just so crazy to me, because when the time comes, that person who wants you, who sees the money, who sees the glamour, most of the time is going to change towards you. So you really have to do your homework and understand, does this woman want me for me, or want me because of what I'm providing? And as guys, most of the time we have ourselves to blame, because what are we showing? Are we showing who we are, or are we showing what we can do? Go ahead, bro.
Well, I'm not even going to add to that. No, I'm going to let that settle, because I'm gonna come back into that. I'm going to come back into that. I want to ask a question to you.
Same
I'll ask a
thing.
question to
She's
you.
talking to him really pleasantly. She says, "Are you gonna sort out like an
They
Uber
get
or a
there.
cab for me?" And then he says, "No, you could get like a cab, train, or bus yourself.
He's a bastard.
I'll be
Do you
doing
know
the
what, yeah?
same."
Did that not happen to me?
That's happened to me as well.
And I was just like, you know what? If he didn't want to do it, that is absolutely fine, because you can't force a man to do anything. But I felt like his delivery, the way he said
Shady as
yourself,
fuck. Yeah.
like telling her all the types of like vehicles.
Very fucking
He
shady.
might as well have told her that she could take her foot and walk.
And
there.
walk there.
Yeah.
So the question I'm asking now is this a form of entitlement at this stage? To have the frustration that they're feeling, is that a form of entitlement? Not necessarily the request, but the response that they're having right now. I'm asking.
The response, to me, I don't have an issue with the request, again, because someone else is willing to do it, no problem. Say this is your standard. But the fact that the response has turned negative, that to me is entitlement, because it didn't need to go there. It could have been left at, my standard is that I want a guy to pick me up, I want a guy to send the Uber, and that's it, and move on. But the fact that it turned negative, that's where I see the issue a lot of times, when a lot of these conversations regarding people, because sometimes it happens the other way too, with the whole manosphere and the things that they say about women, right? And by the way, before I carry on, ladies, be very careful about the types of men you listen to online. Just like we've experienced with some ladies, some people come from a very negative place, a very trauma-filled place, where they don't have nothing good to say, nothing positive, and they're going to be very quick to take a dig at you. So be very careful. Now, I don't know OLONI, I know her content, and I know in general, I don't know her personally, but I know it's very, what's the word I'm saying? It's very jabbing, very poking at men, at times ridiculed, at times, if a man is not emotionally mature, he's going to feel away. He's going to feel away. And to me, there was no reason for that negative, that negative kick. Where was the aggression in his response? That I don't understand. If this was a voice note, if this was a phone call or face-to-face conversation, and that's an attitude that he had, 100% cool. But to me, it's entitlement, because it shouldn't go there. What do you think, bro?
No, I definitely think it's entitlement, the response. And that response then tells me, and it wasn't her that said it, it's OLONI and their friends. So it's not necessarily the girl who's actually said it herself. So technically the girl hasn't said anything, you know what I mean? But for me, the response is entitled, which means the request would have been entitled, because it's got the same lineage. Do you get what I'm saying? So I've got no problem with a request, and if that's your expectancy and your standard, but to have that energy after is a bad attitude, I think, personally. If that's not her, again, it's OLONI and the friends. But it's like, you're not entitled to have this the particular way. And I think sometimes what happens is dating customs that we feel we should be implanted on other people, rather than asking it. You know what I mean? You asked a request, he said no. Is that going to be a beef now? Is that going to be now? No longer the date's gonna go on. Like, what are we saying here, right? So I'm surprised, I'm surprised that before they got to the stage, that conversation's happening. Do you know what I mean? Like, why is that not? Have you not established that he doesn't drive, or he's not getting a? Do you know what I mean? Beforehand, it's just like these conversations. I'd have thought you might have been having a little bit before you go on a date. Personally, ladies, why are we not establishing a lot of these stuff before we meet people up? The world is crazy. Like, you could be kidnapped tomorrow, like you know what I mean? So just just establishing those particular points as well. So I think, to be fair, I think in this instance, dating, we understand people have different standards, but that reaction is poverty, man. You can't have that reaction. you know, can't have that reaction, especially reading into his tweet, reading into his message as well. There was no clarification to make sure that was actually the tone, nothing. We've just assumed it's aggressive, and it's like that wasn't aggressive. Was it firm? Yes, but using the word aggressive, I would decline that. So yeah, I think there's a form of entitlement there a little bit as well, just a little bit from the response for ladies, you know. And I think this is oftentimes what happens when it comes to dating, because the ladies, the three of them, were all in unison. Yeah. It's happened to me too. Before you know it, you're making a decision based on what your friends have said and costing you a situation. You know what I mean? So you know, just that little extra piece there as well. Okay. That's that extra piece. All right, I got another video I wanted to show you. This one's I think everyone knows this particular video as well. So but I thought we should play this video here. Oh, I've gone to the end of it rather than go to the beginning. Just have a look. Here we go. Okay.
That a young lady would not date me because I told her it's not in my budget. She didn't return a phone call. She ain't do nothing. And I'm saying, well, what heck? Y'all, she didn't text me for 2 months. We'll be right back. So check this out, y'all. Check this out. I already have a video out talking about a young lady who wouldn't date me because I don't have a credit score. Going after it is right. I do have a problem when young ladies try to play your boy. Like, what in the world? So you guys know me. I budget every single month. At the end of the month, I always, you know, list in my cash flow. Then I'll also put out because I am I'm dating for a purpose, for marriage. You know, I do have a line item for dates. That line item is not a lot. I'm not going to give you the particular number, but it's not that much. So about a few months ago, I took this young lady out. We went out to dinner. She texted me. She says, hey, first date was cool, but can we go to this particular restaurant next weekend? I didn't respond because I wanted to go home and check my budget and make sure that, okay, I can afford it inside of my budget. So when I go home, I realized it's going to take me over that particular line item in my budget for dating. So I asked myself, all right, do I tell her the truth? Like, I was thinking about just lying, y'all, to be real. I was gonna be like, can't go, I'm busy. But then, you know what? The Holy Spirit said, no, don't lie. Show her the caliber of man you are. So I sent her a text message that says, hey, unfortunately, I can take you out next weekend, but I can't take you to this particular restaurant because if I do, this will take me over my dating budget for the month. I would be more than happy to budget this in for next month if we are still dating. So I send it, and I got an iPhone. And then on the iPhone, y'all know how it happens. When they start typing, that big old bubble come up with a dot. I'm thinking like, okay, cool, we good. Then dot goes away, and nothing comes in. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, dang, did I just play myself? Dang, did she just play me? Y'all, she didn't text me for 2 months. She didn't return a phone call. She ain't do nothing. And I'm sitting here like, well, what the hell is she gonna sit here and you know what? I can't respond to that because a man's gonna stick to his budget. That's sad. So she seen me on particular national, ain't gonna say who, but she seen me on TV. She sends me a text message and she says, hey, just seen you on such and such. How are you? What about that date? I started typing. I started to see the dot. That's the thing. I'm going to come back to you after you. My vision for my life and for my money, because I stuck to it, it actually blocked me from dating a particular young lady that probably wasn't healthy for me. So to anyone who's out there dating, when you have a budget, you stick to that budget. Your plan is your pathway to your future. You stick to that plan. There is no vision. That's where people errors. We just go out there and just spin and let people manipulate us into changing our plan and our vision for our life. Things happen. I could have took it to the restaurant. Honestly, I could have took it that next weekend, but I didn't want to change my budget around because at the end of the day, that's what I said I'm going to do. Yo, it's your boy, Anthony O'Neal. Let me ask you this question. Was I wrong to not respond to her when she didn't respond?
Classic. I love that video. What's your thoughts, Cap?
Do you know what? I don't even know if there's any more to say because he's made the point. You know, he's made a point, and I think I said earlier, like you have to understand who is for you, right? And you know, I've never experienced this myself, but I hear some of my friends say before they've even said anything, the woman has told them specifically what restaurant they want to go to. And as guys, you know what you're gonna do. You're gonna do your research, check the menu, see what's going on there, and you have a decision to make. You know, I've never experienced that. I've always said this is where we're gonna go. You know, like I like nice places, I like nice stuff, so this is where we're gonna go. But it speaks to a mindset, and that's what he was trying to get at. It speaks to a mindset because, you know, and if you know who he is, he's not a cheap guy. He's not a stingy guy. But he said he's dating for marriage. So I'm going to say to everyone, when it comes to marriage, this is the type of man that you actually want. A man who's going to be wise with the family's money. A man who you can trust, especially women who have their own. One of the biggest issues is trusting a man, because it's one thing for him to mess up his finances, but the whole family, her finances, if you're going to trust him with your life, you want this level of responsibility, this level of wisdom, this level of resolve, that just for excitement, you know, forget about excitement, just for a first date. You don't even know if you want to be with the person. You don't even know if the person wants to be with you. And you want to, no, that to me, you know, and the fact that when he said that, her response was to ignore him for 2 months until she saw him on, what did he say, TV or YouTube or whatever. You know, and if you know who he is, he was either some sort of financial show or a show talking about relationships, right? And she would have thought, oh, okay. So in her mind, you can probably guess the types of conversations she was having with herself or her friends. And just because she was able to qualify, oh, this guy does actually have something. Okay, let me see if I can, you know, like, to me, if he then said, okay, let's go on a date, I would have been disappointed, because that to me is showing that this is not the type of woman that you want in your life. And I reverse it around. Ladies, it's the same thing. If you make it clear that a man does not have access to your body and he ghosts you for a certain amount of time, and it may come to a point where he might see you, where you know, maybe there's a conversation, and now he feels, oh, okay, let me just see. Don't entertain that. Don't. It's the same principle. We're not being biased here. It's the same principle across the way. It's just that one side gets talked about more than the other side. So we're here to try to balance it out. It's the same thing. Stick to your principles, because who is for you will show you that they are willing to jump on board, that they are willing to, I'm not going to use the word play the game, but they are willing to show you that there is more to you than what they desire from you. You know, some people, in fact, some of us, right, we don't even know that there's more to us than the money. There's more to us than the things that we try to say that we need. We need this house, we need this car. When you have someone that shows you you're so much more than that, from deep within, this is the type of person you need. And for me personally, again, if you take it back to OLONI, this just reminds me of someone who is basically saying, I want you to take me out here because I want to Snapchat, I want to Instagram, I want to show that I'm having a good time. But the question is, if you can ignore him for 2 months, that means you didn't like him in the first place. Let's be honest here. You didn't. Absolutely not. Because if you truly like someone, then you're willing to do what? You're willing to compromise on, I'm not saying compromise on things that you shouldn't. I'm saying that you're willing to realize, you know what, I actually like this person. Let me be easy. Hopefully your standards are correct in the first place. But this to me, what I'm saying is how men think, which is why a lot of men get angry, why a lot of men get bitter when they have these types of circumstances happen, because they're thinking, hold on a minute, did I just get shafted? Did I just get taken advantage of by a sophisticated criminal so she can have a good time at my expense? Like, I'm giving you man mind why men say and act a certain way. So ladies, just be careful. If you want a certain standard, just date that standard then. That's all. Don't expect that from every man, because it's not going to happen. And secondly, just because a man doesn't want to meet this particular standard that we're talking about doesn't mean he won't be the best partner for you. Again, it's just have these conversations ahead of time. The reason why I haven't really had these issues, because I guess I'm different, but I have these conversations and I take lead. I might say, what type of food you like, you know, what type of things you like to do, and I will choose, this is where we're going to go, this is the time, and that's it. So I don't know what to tell you. What do you think?
Yeah, listen, like on this particular occasion, he did the right thing. You know, the budget that he had is more, it's less about the budget and more about the standard as well. You know, so if you know that you've said you're gonna stick to a budget, that's your standard, that's your boundaries. You're gonna hold those to the line. What you don't want to do is start breaking it and bending it just for this girl who you don't really know just yet. That's not a good start. So he has to hold firm to that line. What that becomes then is now a good test for anybody that comes into your vicinity. As soon as he held his boundaries, as soon as he held his standard, the young lady had to dip. She had to go. She didn't text him back. She didn't message him. And that's her prerogative. I'm not even cussing her. I'm saying that's her prerogative. That's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. But now, at least now he can make a decision based upon that boundary and that standard. And I think that's what everybody should be able to do that. You know, if you have a boundary, if you have a standard, you should stick to it, because when you stick to it, everybody else has got to know either I can accommodate it or I can't. Do you get what I'm saying? Right? Like old girl in the first video, when she said, "Are you picking up in the Uber or are you going to drive me there?" She could have said, "You know what? I'm not coming." Yeah. I only go when people Uber me. Okay, that was her standard. We might have not liked it, but that would have been her standard, and she could have weed off that person as well. So, you know, everyone's got to have their standards and boundaries so they know what they're willing to accept and what they're willing not to accept, you know? So with him saying about the boundary, I think it's important as men as well. Don't go lavish, don't go overspending and going crazy trying to impress her with the amount of money you can spend. I always keep saying, this is the first date. Y'all were doing way too much on these first dates. Y'all need to chill. That's why we did a whole panel on this on Friday, talking about dating is wild. The dating world is wild because many people are trying to impress people with the very wrong things. It even got me thinking this afternoon when I was thinking to myself, that time, the day that we met, the day that we first ever met, right? When I was on a panel and we was talking and having a conversation. I'll get to that second part because I know exactly what you're thinking of now. I know exactly what you're thinking of now because I forgot that even happened. But the first part, before we even got to the Nando's, when we was at the location, when we were all chilling and vibes in and sitting there, you know, we was having a good conversation, right? And then when we finished, some of the ladies were talking and we were talking and we were saying about what we're going to do, etc., etc. I offered to pay for some people. I said, listen, if you're going to come along, I don't mind. Let me pay for some of you guys to come along, right? It was just a nice gesture of me just doing it. Get to a restaurant, I pay for some people so they can have some food and chill and vibe. That was just me. Do you know what I'm saying? I also had the choice of like, well, if you're here, you should buy your own food. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have to do that. But you can be generous, you can be nice about it, but you have to stick to what your standard is. If my budget for that month was going to be breached by doing this, I wouldn't have done it. Simple as, because it's out of my budget. For the grace of God, it wasn't. So I didn't have to fret and think about it and be like, oh, okay, this is literally it. You know what I mean? So I think most important for any man out there, if you're gonna go dating, first and foremost, the first date, let's stop trying to impress people with our finances. It's a weak game, weak ass game to be trying to impress people with money, because in reality of it, they're gonna have to live with you for a long time after this if you do go past the parcel dating, and they're not gonna be able to overlook everything apart from aside the money. Do you know what I mean? They can't overlook the money if you're in a long-term relationship with somebody. They're going to see who you are. Do you get it? They're going to see you for who you really are. So show them who you really are. It's the first time you've ever met. Why are you trying to do the most? Just keep it simple. I keep saying, and we spoke about this. I don't know if it was you. I don't know if we spoke about last week. Or it might be my own live. No, my own live I was talking about last week. I was saying, listen, some of you need to go on, some of you're doing too much. It's a coffee date. Go on a coffee date. It's not even a big deal. Get to know them. Go to the museum, go to the park, keep it inexpensive, because what you're really looking for is to try and understand who this person really is and do they vibe with me, right? And I know some people in the crowd were like, they don't do coffee dates. Some of them don't do coffee dates. They want something else a little bit different. Not to say they want anything expensive, just don't do coffee dates. And that's fine. Listen, we can do something else. But why are we doing the absolute most trying to impress? And what the fear is behind a lot of men is that if I don't do this, I'm gonna look like a punk. I'm gonna look like a brokey. I'm gonna look like somebody doesn't have like somebody who doesn't know how to date. I'm gonna get laughed at. And the reality is, listen, if they're gonna laugh at you for holding your boundaries and your standards, You don't need that person in your life. In all honesty, they'll laugh at you and they'll shame you when you're broke too. So listen, there ain't no reason for you to even try and negate your process. You have a budget for a reason. You know where you're going. You have a destination. Stick to the budget. This has come back to that conversation, the Beyonce situation we had. Stick to the budget. Don't let yourself be influenced to try and maneuver out of it because one girl looked bad. You don't want to do that to yourself, bro. That's a slippery slope to go down. You know what I mean? That's what I would say.
I agree, my bro. And even that NANDOS situation, don't forget, the ladies made a comment about us paying it before we even... Do you remember?
I forgot, bro. I forgot.
And
Go
we
on,
had
Kat.
we had just met these ladies there and then. Now, I'm not saying there's anything even wrong with them personally. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to mention names now, but some are influencers. Some have even been on the show, and we have got no problems with them at all. But it's the fact that they felt that they could ask in the first place and didn't know us. They knew from the panel how we thought when it comes to relationships. And the question that we answered on the panel was, is dating in today's world, what was it? Why is it so hard or something like that? And every single one of us had, well, except for one, had amazing things to say. So what's sad that it can't actually come out, because that was a very mature conversation that everyone needs to listen to, especially if you have little brothers and little sisters. But what can we do? But there was that comment. And even when we got to NANDOS, I think you either mentioned it to me or something like that. And I even said to you, bro, like, let me go half. Because you said you're going to pay, and I said, let me go half as you as well. Because I thought to myself, hold on a minute. So this is actually what? This was actually agreed. Now, it's not that we can't do that. It's just that the principle. Because I've experienced people that expect this all the time.
This is good. Yeah.
And I'm not even talking about people who are interested in, people who are interested in us. I'm even saying actual friends, platonic friends, let me differentiate, where they think I'm out with my male friends, they're always going to cover it. But that's because sometimes they do. But this is where the conversation about entitlement comes into it. Because at what lengths, if that doesn't happen, are you now going to take it? Are you now going to see those men as something different? And this is where, as a man, you have to put your foot down and say, I'm okay with this and I'm okay with that. And there should be nothing wrong with it. There should be nothing wrong with a man's boundaries. As ladies, we have boundaries with yourself, please. Like, let's stop all this minimum standard rubbish. If a guy's giving you minimum, just walk away. You don't need to deal with it and be angry and complain. Walk away. And it's the same thing with guys. If a woman is giving you minimum, and I think we're going to talk about a man loving the woman more as well. If you're receiving a minimum, as a guy, walk away. Because one of the things that we have to understand, if I'm going to be me, if you're going to see me, if I'm going to spend not just money, but if I'm going to spend my time, if I'm going to really, truly get to know you and help you to understand what I'm the one for you, it has to be reciprocal. If I'm going to do all of that, I'm not going to do all of that to Deadwood. I'm not going to do all of that to someone who is just there. I'm not going to do all of that to someone who doesn't even know if they want me in their life permanently. Like, I think I said it last week or the week before. I get to know people in stages. If you're going to spend more over time. You know what I mean? Whatever you're going to do. And I mentioned about love more over time, respect more over time. Don't operate from a place where you are losing. Don't start off like that. Because the moment you give up something that is, whether that's your body, your resources, whatever the case may be, you're in a losing position. Because what is to stop that person from expecting that all the time? You've now made a decision for them that you are like this. So the moment that you cannot do that thing or you don't want to, it's going to be a problem. This is why I agree the dating game is messed up, because it's a very selfish world that we live in now. It's about what I can get, what I want. People ask the question, I've even asked a woman one time years ago, just why do ladies go out for free meals? She was trying to say to me, I don't do that no more. I don't do that no more. But she admitted to me it's because at the end of the day, I'm bored. I want to go out, have a good time. He doesn't know I don't like him. He will find out eventually. But, I just want to go out to this place and he's willing to take me. These things cost money. These things cost money. And one of the things I've observed is a lot of guys who really stick to their financial discipline are the ones who are usually able to do a lot more with their money. You know, and they find out later in life anyway that there's a lot of guys who are single who are buying their first houses, let's say between the age of 35 and 40. But that's because they learned these mistakes when they were young. And as they got older, they decided to pull back a bit. Whereas now we have a lot of ladies who are able to do these things much younger. And there's something that we call a girlfriend tax, right? A lot of people haven't heard of this saying, but the whole point is when you've got a woman in your life, you're naturally going to be spending more money on dates, more money on travel, more money, birthdays, whatever the case may be. It's natural for expectations from us as men. I think, you don't know who this is, but Lynn May made a point, I think it was this week or last week. She has a podcast that basically a money podcast that she talks about, right? And she said, as guys, let's think about it. How much money have you spent over the year just on dates that you just didn't need to do that on? I'm not talking about with your missus or your girlfriend, just going on dates trying to impress women. You will be shocked. And you can ask yourself the same question, and the answer will be you didn't need to do any of that stuff. So to me, my mindset, because someone mentioned let these young kids live. No, I'm thinking if I had a son, if I had a little brother, what would I advise him? Because what I advise him today is going to affect him in the future, and he is going to be appreciated. And that's the way I operate, even with young ladies. I have 2 daughters. So what I say to women is the same thing that I would say to them. Because it's about, as you get older, what do you want? You don't need to learn by making the mistakes. Just listen. Just observe, and you'll avoid some of these pitfalls and not allow yourself to get the anger, the hate, the resentfulness, and the annoyance of these situations, or being wasteful. I've had to learn that myself. I've had to learn putting myself in a negative financial position from trying to make someone who I was with happy is an extreme detriment that no man should ever do. I don't blame her, I blame myself. And that took time to recover from. So I'm talking from experience, and this is not anecdotal. There are so many men who have this experience, even to the point where some men are afraid to get married because if the marriage doesn't go right, even if it's a woman that wants to walk away and he doesn't have to have cheated or been abusive, any of those extremes, she can just say, I want to divorce this man. It's the amount of money that he is losing out on, even if he's built that before she came along. So these are the conversations as men that we have when it comes to finance, because it is so easy for us to be left broken because of that entitlement, to be left broken financially and struggle to recover. And some men don't recover. So in the same way, ladies, you have had to learn to protect yourself within reason. As men are also realizing now, we also need to protect ourselves within reason. If we're going to step out, it's because someone is worth it, because someone deserves it. I know this person wants me for me, and this is what I'm happily going to do for them, rather than I'm doing it to get this person or believing I can get this person. If you do that, you're operating from a losing position. Go ahead, bro.
Well, you smacked it. You know, I think just to help everybody. So I think again, defining what you term a date is also really important as well, because I may not term something a date, you may term it a date. For me personally, if I'm going to a coffee shop, it's not necessarily a date. It's more I'm meeting you. I'm trying to get a feel of you. I'm trying to understand you. We can have some conversation. We can chat. They're not really dates per se. And even then, you know, so some people might call that a date, some people might not. I think again, I know some people will say, I know some ladies might say, you know, that they expect there to be, they got a higher standard than that. And I would say, listen, if you got a higher standard than that, that's cool. I understand what you're saying. Listen, flow with what you want to flow with. Me personally, like I said, if I don't know you, I'm going to try and get to know you. But do I have to spend £200, $200 on trying to get to know you? No, I don't. And that's not the kind of person I need right now. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know you yet. Do you understand? Like, I don't know you yet. Yeah. And so investing in this is risky business. Now, someone might say, your men, your leaders, you should be taking risks. That's not a risk that's worthy. I'm sorry. That's not a risk that's worthy. I'm only getting to know you so far. Do you understand what I'm saying? If I'm trying to get to know you, spending 200, 100 is a lot of money. And it's actually not good money management. You know what I mean? Because most of us, we might be doing well Well, if you're not a millionaire, you can't be talking that talk, bro. You know what I'm saying? If you're not a millionaire, you can't be talking that talk. You got to be careful, especially if one girl can go on a date, enjoy the date, like it, and go on another date. You can extend the market is the market right now. The dating market is wild. But again, me personally, like I said, I like to get to know people. So a local coffee thing is important for me because it's like it's a neutral ground, low pressure, no craziness. You know what I mean? Or even a museum date. Like I said, I like to walk and talk. I like this mind thing first. Do you understand what I'm saying? So more importantly, have I done the expensive dates? Yeah, listen, I went to spend like £200 on a day. We went go-karting, we went to dinner, you know, I paid for everything, the Uber, everything. I didn't really care because really and truly I was gonna do it anyway. Do you know what I mean? Whether you were here or not, I was going. So you know, extra body don't really mind about that. Do you know what I'm saying? But I already knew the person, so it was calm. But if I don't know you, I think we got to give that little bit of grace. That you know, all this talk about, you know, you're showing me your best foot by no, but babe, I hear what you're saying, but they don't know you. You know what I mean? They don't know who you are. Okay, and most of us are on average salary. So let's stop that. Do you know what's happened? The problem we have right now is that many people see social media and see celebrities as their equal, and they are not your equal. They're not in the same boat. They're not in the same lane. They don't drive. They're not even in the. They don't even drive the same cars you do. Okay, they have a completely different aspect when it comes to life. And so, yes, we want to be romantic, but I'm saying if they're just getting to know you, let's roll with it. Let's try and get to know the person. Let me see what you're saying. And then when it gets to that stage where we are exclusive or we are, then by all means, let him. He should be spending some money and testing the waters and this and that, taking you here and there, because now you two are saying we're gonna go somewhere, we're gonna travel. By that point, we don't know each other. We don't know anything. We are fresh to the table. You know what I mean? Give the person some grace. You know what I mean? So, but again, that's me saying it. But if that's not your prerogative, hey, I'm not even about to even damn you. I'm not about to put you down, ladies. I'm not about to shout you. I'm just saying, hold out some of that grace right now, because in 2023, if women can go on a date, enjoy it, love it, care about it, but still date 3 or 4 other guys, do you see what I'm saying? It can be difficult out here. It can be a financial cash loss, you know, for some guys out here. So just to put that in perspective. But again, if you want to hold your line, hold your boundaries, that just won't be for me. You know what I mean? That's just not going to be for me. If the person doesn't understand that, I understand, then I won't be for you, and that's cool by me. I don't think we have to even stress about that. 100%. I think everyone has to work with whatever they want to work with. But it's just to kind of give you a bit of understanding for the men as well, that it's not as simple as you're the man, pay for stuff, because y'all know we are in a crisis economically right now. We are in a crisis economically right now. Our gas, our electricity, the bill ain't nothing to joke with. Listen, I make good money, but I've turned that heater off. Listen, I'm not about to look. I'm trying to be responsible. I want to have savings. I want to have money I can live over. I don't want to be having a high bill at the end of the month, because that's how crazy it's getting. It's getting that kind of craziness. So you have to be wise as well as an individual person. You have to be sensible in how you move as well. And sometimes that means not doing something, even if you really want to do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So listen, I make good money, but me, I want to be sensible. I'm a saver. That's why you can see I'm a hardcore saver. That's why I like to see zeros in my account. That's why. So I get stressed when I don't see it. But you know, I think we just got to be gracious in that aspect. But if that's not for you, I also get it. You know what I mean? I also get that you have your standard as well. You know. So
I'm gonna say this here. For the ladies in this chat, think about, what would you advise your sons? What would you advise your younger brothers if they're coming to you and saying, are these things I should be doing? I'm not talking about the one, or this is going to be the man's wife. That's a slightly different conversation. I'm talking about, you're just dating, getting to know people, potentially can go on several dates. What would you advise him? I was watching a famous podcast, and there was 9 ladies on the panel, and these ladies were asked, what's the most amount a man has given you, whether that be monetary or materially, and you've ghosted him afterwards, i.e. you have told him you're not interested, or you're just keeping him on a leash. There was 2 women who just mentioned a couple hundred. They didn't really care. They don't really see their dating life like that. But the rest of the woman was talking a couple thousands. One said 10 and another one said 20K. Now, for me personally, if I was related to any of these men, I would have to pull them aside and say, bro, you're not doing that again. And that's me being a good friend. Me being a good friend or good family member. Because these things are showing you that it's a waste of money. Someone mentioned about how else you're going to get to know someone. Yeah, take someone out, do what you need to do to get to know someone. But the ratio that we have, most likely you're going to be doing it for someone who is only interested in that or is not interested at all. They're just interested in receiving what they're going to receive from you. A lot of ladies have had to deal with this when it comes to men, thinking that a man is truly into them. But as soon as they give that man what he wants, all of a sudden he changes. It's the same principle. It's the same principle. We cannot operate like this. This is not a way to sustain life. And as you mentioned, in the West, because this is really, we're talking about Western issue here, the majority of people do not earn a type of money that can warrant a luxurious lifestyle. It doesn't make sense. But yeah, this is what a lot of people want. And that's okay if you want that. It's no problem. Like I'm saying, me and Coach, we operate slightly differently. Right? So we have an understanding that we like some of these things too, and we will happily do them if we want to do them. So don't get us wrong. But we have to think about things in a wise way. If not enough of the population have a certain amount to use, it doesn't make sense that this is what everyone is willing to, how can I put it? Like willing to disrespect another person because of these things. Because the man that's for you may not be able to do that now. You know, I was even thinking like on my way home today, right? Like what my salary is and my trajectory. There are some people up until the retirement age, they're not going to earn that just because of what they do, just because of what they're doing in life. And that is normal. That is normal for them. So my thinking was, how do these people operate when it comes to dating, when it comes to building a life? What types of people are they choosing? Because these people seem to still be happy. So what's going on here? I'm talking about the men and the women. Also, one of the things that I think I mentioned this last year, most of you will know what wife swap is. In the UK, we also have something called rich house, poor house, right? Where rich families and poor families swap. One of the things, and it's a slightly different topic, one of the things that I noticed across both shows is that the poorer couples seem to be more into each other. Whereas the richer couples, there was a lot missing. It was almost like they was together because, and you know, statistically, the more money is within the family, the more likely they are to stay together. But what was able to see that there was no more marriage, there was no more togetherness. It was just stale, using work as a distraction, using kids as a distraction. So then the question is, what's going on? You know, people who don't have much are able to show each other, you know what, as long as I have you, it's okay. But people who have, is almost like, well, the only thing we have is just that. But between us, it doesn't really matter. Like, and again, it's the mindsets that we're looking at. That's why for me, watching these videos and paying attention to the mindset, whether you agree or disagree, doesn't matter to me. But as a man, I have to say to all men out there, be careful. Pay attention to the mindset, accept it at face value. Don't give excuses for it. Same thing for the ladies. Whatever you come across, whatever your standards are, whatever someone is doing or not doing, pay attention to the mindset, because that will tell you everything that you need to know. Don't make excuses for it. Don't minimize it. Look at it and say, I understand that this person is like this. Do I like this or do I don't? This person's for me or are they not? And keep it moving. There's no reason to you know, just because the person hasn't met your standard, there's no reason to talk negative. There's no reason to go for a low blow. You know, there's no reason to exaggerate things. If you believe this is the standard that you want, then keep it. It's not a problem. Just move on, because not everyone's going to be for you. You know, you don't have to put a man down just because he didn't want to overspend. It didn't make sense. At the end of the day, it's up to you. Whatever you want to do is fine. Trust me. It's just that when the issues come with it, let's keep the complaints aside. Just that, honestly, because it gets tiring after a while. Because in trying to operate in a certain way, you know what you're going to get. So just wait until you get it. Just understand most people are not going to be your cup of tea, and that's okay. Go ahead, bro.
No, I was gonna say, like, as well, I think what's important here is also to understand that don't assume because and it's not me, and even just me personally, I think for anybody, this is what, don't assume because someone takes you to a coffee date that they're broke. It's like assuming a rich person what they look like. But the people that are really wealthy, simple black t-shirt, some nice trousers, and some shoes, and he goes about his day. You may never know he's rich. So, you know what I mean? So don't assume because I take someone on a coffee date that that's a lowballing effect. No, it's just it's a get to know you for me. And again, that's what I said about understanding what is your purpose for the date. I'm not trying to floss. I'm just trying to get to know you and what's your mindset. Do you get what I'm saying? So if I take you there the first day, cool. The second date, we can make it a bit more lavish. I don't really mind. I'm not. Again, money's not the big thing for me. Do you see what I'm saying? And because I know that the most important thing about me is this money thing doesn't really faze me. That's why I said I can be. You was with me. The Nando's thing. I pay for everybody. It's not a big deal. Paying for stuff is not a big deal. That will always be a part of my character. But the first thing I want to see is if I'm talking about a partner that I want long term, I don't need someone that chews my money. I need somebody that understands it and it will even help me multiply it. I need somebody who's down for me. I need somebody who understands his mind. I need somebody who too I can invest in. Do you know what I'm saying? And being all crazy on the first date does make no sense to me because I have no clue if you're worthy of that investment. When I'm talking about investment, I'm not talking about that first date. I'm talking about the long-term aspect of it. So I'm starting as I mean to go on. That doesn't mean I'm not going to spend the money. I spend it. But I'm saying I don't know you at the beginning. So for me personally, it's like, I don't know if I should, you know what I mean? Let me get to know you first. Let me understand. Let me get your vibe. Let me get energy. Let me be around you a little bit and see what's your vibe saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me see who are you? Let me see what you're about when you're in person. Because there's one thing talking to somebody when you're on the screen, but when you're in person and you see the vibe, it's a different thing. Listen, I've gone out with friends. I've gone out with even just girls who are just cool and just vibes and friends, right? And we'll be in a shop and the girl will pick a t-shirt. I'll be like, don't worry, I got you. It's not a big deal to do that. But again, even that for me, when I don't know you, it's how's it going to look like? It's going to look different. Whereas that's not what I'm trying to promote. What I'm trying to promote is this is what's most important. This is most important. The mind that I've got, this is the most important fact. The values that I carry, the characteristics that I carry, this is the most important. The money is there. Don't worry about that. But this, who I am, this is the most important. Can you buy this? Because if the money, like you said, bro, if the money isn't money in the way it needs to money, this is all you're left with. Are you going to be content with this? This is what I'm talking about. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to floss with money because I don't want that to be what the person just sees. I'm marketing what needs to be marketed, which is this. This needs for me to be marketed. This needs to be marketed. My character, my values, right? That's what I want to be. That's what I want it to be. My faith, my belief system, right? That's what I want the person to be invested in. So the first thing I want to see if I'm around you for the first time is I want you to just see my energy, my vibe. What do you get from me? So, you know, that's why the introductory is a local coffee thing. That's why for me, or it could be a museum. I love a good museum. I ain't gonna lie to you. I love a good museum. I'm not gonna play with you. A little museum is fun, right? You know what I'm saying? Or it could even be for us. We got the Air Emirates. You know what I mean? A little Air Emirates from east to, you know what I mean, East London or whatever, and fly over past. That could be done as well. Do you know what I'm saying? Like something where I can have quality time with a person. I don't need to be booking at the Sky Bar. Yeah. At Docklands or Stratford or whatever to try and impress now. No, I want you to be impressed by this because this is what's going to be. That's what's going to be when you wake up in the morning and this is what you see. You have to ask yourself the question: why am I with this guy? So it's again, don't assume because someone takes you on a coffee date that they're trying to lowball you or they're trying to lower your standard per se. But again, if that is your standard, that's cool. I'm just saying, don't assume though that when someone takes you on a coffee date or someone says a museum on the first date is them trying to do whatever. One of my girls, my friends went on a date and the guy just booked 4 or 5 different museums and she loved it. They went from place to place to tour, and she loved it. You know why? Because she was invested in quality time. I am not saying that the person shouldn't have the money import. That is important. It's very important. Very, very much important. I'm not taking that away. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying to you. But what I'm saying is in the aspect of what you need to be focused on this. That's what we need to focus on. We're no longer in a season of surviving anymore, right? So you don't have to choose someone based on money alone anymore. You know, you don't have to do that anymore. We're in a generation where we're quote unquote thriving. So what you need to be looking at now is not money, is need to be looking at who is he. That's what you need to be looking at. In the times of our great grandfathers and great grandmas, they don't need to worry about who is he. Has he got money? Because we need to survive. That's the main thing. We ain't in that space no more. So I'm saying not that people shouldn't do these things. I'm saying, but before you make that generalization, thinking that he must be broke because he did it, don't jump to that conclusion just yet. Don't jump to it just yet. Do you know what I'm saying? Just hold off. You know what I mean? And see if this person is the person. Is that person got the character? And the reason why I'm saying that is because a lot of people are poor judges of character. Amazing judges of what a great date is, but poor in judging what a character is. And the reason being is because they don't spend the amount of time they need to spend on someone who actually spend on actually getting to know the person. And the dates and everything become a camouflage for the actual person. And I'm saying get to know that person more. Not saying that you should, again, lower your standards. We're saying, but make sure those standards are invested in who that person is. Not just that the first date is someone you can brag to your sisters and your friends and your girlfriends about how great the first date was. But actually, is this person, can I see this person being someone I can really get to know? Like, okay, cool. Like, we got to talk in my mindset. I saw this, did I saw that, saw that. Okay, cool. Let's see. You know what I mean? I've done both. So, like I said, I've spent money on the first date with vibes. I've done it without vibes. Do you know what I'm saying? So I can do both if I need to. But like I said, it's everyone's got their prerogative. Do you know what I mean?
I'm gonna say this as well, right? Some ladies, they just feel that that's the standard, right? But other ladies, it's because of the, let's just say at a lower standard level, they still dealt with nonsense men, foolish men who are not about anything, who don't amount to anything. And let's just say they've given them certain things that they should never have in the first place, but they felt this was a waste of my time. You know, they felt used. So they've had to higher their standards just so they can feel that, okay, for this guy to have my time, it needs to be worth it, etc. Right? Now, what we've been talking about is the positives and the negatives that come with that. But I'm going to talk specifically to men right now. Some of us men, you need to work in yourself. You need to be more about who you are and less about the money that you have. Because some of your characters are awful. Not just as a human being, but sometimes as a partner, you're just not that great. You don't even know what to do. You don't know how to love, don't know how to be romantic, don't know how to take care, don't know how to, make someone feel, like this stable. And I mention that is because what I said earlier is there are some guys who feel that they need to do this because it's the only thing that they can do. They're dweebs. They don't have what it takes for a particular type of woman, and they still want this particular type of woman, and that's why they feel like they need to spend to get this particular type of woman, because it does happen. These particular types of women will see, okay, now this guy has got money, all of a sudden I find him more attractive now, and they will go out with this particular guy. But the issue is he is still who he is. That hasn't changed, and that woman either still knows that or will find that out and will waste his time and will ghost him because she doesn't find him attractive. She just finds what he can do for her attractive. And that's the difference a lot of guys need to make. But a lot of guys make these mistakes because we're not working on ourselves. We're not becoming more of a man, more confident. We're not walking in our purpose. We're not walking in a proper direction. So we can easily be walked all over this, right? We can easily go through legal robbery, right? Legal, criminal, financial robbery, and then complain. Why? Work on yourself, because, and I have to say this, right? I've never been on a date where a woman has never wanted more, regardless of whether it was an expensive date or whether it was a cheap date. And the only reason why I can think about this is because I made sure that woman wanted me for me. So regardless of what we did, she wanted to stick around. And as simple as that. And as time went on, she would have enjoyed based on what I was willing to give at the time. With my missus now, The first time we met up, we just went to a hotel bar, had a drink, talked for a little bit, and where it is, there's like a big river in the middle with all these high rises. It's quite a nice place. We just walked around and talked. That's
That's
it.
perfect. I love that.
That's it. Talked. It wasn't nothing expensive, etc. We just walked around and talked. The first time that we said, okay, this is an official date, I took her to a nice place in a posh area. Let's just say in America terms, the bill would have come to maybe $110, $120, I think, with the currency conversion. I did that happily because this is what I wanted to do, because I knew I was doing it for someone who I wasn't just going to do this for and then they're just going to ghost me or run away. Or no, I said, no, let me do this. She deserves this. I want to enjoy this. Let's go somewhere nice. But we still have done that many times up until today. Like those of you who have listened to us for a while said, we've gone theatre, we've done this, we've done 3 things or 4 things in a day. These things ain't cheap. Trust me, these things ain't cheap at all. But ultimately, she is still someone who, in fact, she says to me, let's just meet in a coffee shop. Let's just get 1-2 cake. What's going to come to what, less than $10? Let's just sit and talk. These are the things I think to myself, wow. Do you know what? The fact that you are like this to me means that I have no qualms giving you more. And I'm talking about financially here. I have no qualms spoiling you. I have no qualms doing certain things. Right now, we're in a building time. And she's the one that came to me and said, for this year, let's try to spend as little as we can because of what we're building towards. This is the thinking. I'm like, wow. And the key thing is, right, it's not like there aren't many women who will say this. It's the fact that in the reality of the situation, I'm seeing who she is. I've been in situations where ladies have said this, but in the reality of the situation, they've let me know how they felt. And I think, okay, wow, where did this come from? Because I'm thinking things are cool. I'm thinking things are okay. But they've made how they feel about other things. But when questioned, it's really about the money situation. So I said to myself, all right, being together, time goes by, etc. Every marriage goes through some sort of financial issue, just depends on what level you're at. How is she going to respond to me? That's every man's fear. Especially, and I understand, if you've literally shelled out the money from the beginning and then switch up, she naturally is going to feel a certain way. And I agree with her, because you've shown her a side of you that in her mind, she's built this picture, she's built this image, she's built this life. You would have made certain promises, right? That this is the life you're always going to have, but you haven't managed it well. You haven't said, you know what, this is what we have, but when things go wrong, who are you going to be? And this is the conversation I say to guys, have these conversations, because sometimes you will stop yourself wasting time, wasting money. And these are the things that we have been talking about for weeks, even from last year, about if you want something and you say you want to have the best love you've ever had, the most respect you've ever had, there are ways to go about it. And overspending on a first date or first couple of dates is not the way. By ratio, you're more likely going to be disappointed than anything else. And even if you, and that's even during dating, and even if you get into some sort of commitment, that's going to be questioned if it stops. I've been there where that stopped because of something that, you know, again, a decision that I made to make the woman happy. But she was still going to her friends, still making comments, still saying different things. And I'm thinking, hold on a minute, but I'm in this position because of the decision I made for you. So I would have at least thought that you would have considered that and understood. But she didn't say, okay, let me take you out, let me do this, let me do that. Absolutely not. She positioned herself as, I have this issue, you're a liar, you built this fantasy, etc. I didn't do that, by the way. I was very upfront. But in the reality of the situation, she was showing me what she cared about. And I couldn't say anything. So at the end of the day, I understood it. So I had to tell myself, did I make the right decision? Because when things go wrong, this is not what I need. The same thing, ladies, when things go wrong, what type of man do you want? You know, if you want to have kids, if you, if you want to stop working, you want to be able to rely on your man. Just because he's splashing and flashing the cash, that's not a man you can truly rely on, because he's showing that he's not frugal with his money. He's showing that he's not exclusive with his money, because you won't be the only woman he's doing that to. And there's a lot of men, they're doing this, but their bank account is struggling. The bank account is in the negative. Some of you have to understand that there are certain guys, for the sake of pride, they will do it, but they will feel it later. So this is why, as ladies, sometimes not lower your standards, keep your standards. But there's a different level of understanding that sometimes you need to have when it comes to men. Because it shouldn't be just about the money, unless all you care about is the money. It should be about who he is. That should tell you everything. That should tell you where he is going, what he is doing now, what type of partner he is likely to be. Because when you get there and he's going to say, babes, you've been so good to me, the world is yours, you're going to love it. But why expect that from a man on day one? It doesn't make sense to me. Same thing for the guys. Why expect on day one what she's eventually going to give you down the line? It don't make sense to me. It's not the way we were put on this earth to date. In fact, we weren't even put on this earth to date in the first place. That's not how God has not how God operates. But we ourselves as human beings have poisoned this thing that we call relationships, poisoned this thing that we call, getting to know someone. We've changed it into something else where, for most people, what are they saying? That this dating game is treacherous, this dating game is trash. Well, why is it trash? Because look at the things that we have to talk about. What are the things that we have to deal with? What are the things that people are holding on to? If it's not working, ask yourself a few questions. What's going on here? Something needs to change. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I think and this is what I'm trying to say. Like, I feel like there's just too many like assumptions. There's too many assumptions, and I think it kills a lot of people's dating. That's what I'm trying to say to you. Like when I'm saying this about judging content or character, I think this is where I'm trying to make the differentiation. There's an assumption already that because he took you to a coffee, this is what he's doing. And I'm saying to you, that's not necessarily the truth. But do you know what? Get to know him and see what he says. If he's not for you, ditch him. You know what I mean? But we're making all these kind of wild assumptions. Like I told you, like, it don't make sense for me. It's like we're making wild assumptions about people without actually having conversation. He could have money and be a terrible person when it comes to actually saving the money. So you're actually in a worse position than someone who might even have less, but is better at keeping the money that he has. So I'm proposing that people should be having conversations rather than making assumptions. Have the conversation, you know what I mean, with the person. Have the conversation first. I think sometimes what happens in this generation, and this is not to everybody, this is some people, but the need, and do you know what? I realize it as well. We'll be on Twitter or you'll be on Instagram, and people will post every date they go on, and you're like, why? And you realize it's not for them. It's for you. They want to show you what they're living. You understand? Oftentimes people are in competition with the rest of the world. It's like, bro, like, just live your life and enjoying it. But I think these situations here, what I'm trying to propose is not necessarily that coffee dates are good or bad. Personally, that's my thing. I love a good coffee date. I'm saying what we should be focusing on is the content of the individual. Like, I think I was talking with Enigma in the chat, and I was saying, Enigma saying that, men need to put in more effort and that men want the maximum out of the minimum. And I'm saying, what is the maximum men are getting out of this? If you go on a coffee date and I'm on a coffee date with you, I get nothing out of that more than what you got out of it, which is I get to know you. So again, that's what I'm trying to say about the idea of something. It's not even got the right mindset, because what is a man getting more out of it from you? If you're coming to a coffee date and you're spending time talking and getting to know the person, and you find out this person isn't it, right? This person isn't it. What more did he get out of it than you got out of it? You see, and that's the part I'm tackling. I'm not tackling necessarily even the standards. It's the mindsets behind it. It's like, how did you get to that proposal, that aspect? You know what I'm saying? It's almost as if like you have to make it my worthwhile. And you know what? I ain't coming off my couch. I'm not coming off my sofa unless you take me to a certain level of place I want to go to. It's like, then what is your end goal? You know what I mean? What's my end goal? And so, you know, just that's what I wanted to say in that particular aspect. Not to bash anyone or say like, look, you have to do this. Do what you want to do. I'm just saying, where is the mindset residing along? Is it along the getting to know someone, or is it this? You know what I mean? So, and again, like I said, I've done many different things. You know what? The last day I went on to, we went dress shopping. It was wavy. Went dress shopping. Went dress shopping. She wanted to buy some. She wanted to buy a dress. Oxford Street. You know what Oxford Street is, so you know. Wanted to buy a dress on Oxford Street. I was like, yeah, let's go. Come, we'll try different clothes on. You know what I'm saying? We doesn't have to gonna buy anything per se, but you know, let's see what we'll do. Maybe we'll like something. We'll buy something. Do you know what I mean? Went to different shops. I ended up spending money on buying shirts. I think I bought like 3 shirts from Next. Next, you were thinking Next is cheap, and then you get there, you see the bill that comes out your thing. Loved it. You know, she helped me pick up a few different shirts that I was like, do you know what? I needed some shirts and I ain't really got any. Thanks for helping me pick it out. She went to the store, went to buy a dress, you know what I'm saying? Bought a lovely dress, blah, blah. Went into Debenhams, House of Fraser. And that's why I bought the house. That's why I bought the Sauvage, Dior Sauvage. Listen, that day changed my life. That Dior Sauvage, yeah, Alexa. Oh my days. That after, that. Shout out to that girl, you know what I'm saying? But you know, we tried different perfumes and different aftershaves, you know what I'm saying? I ended up buying her some of the perfume. I was like, hey, just bought the perfume. Again, you can do that kind of stuff. Do you know what I'm saying? You can do that already. I already kind of knew her, so it didn't really bother me. I kind of knew her. We had spoken with us in Ghana before as well. So I know who you are. Do you know what I mean? I don't have no problems with doing that. And then we ended up at a coffee shop in Costa, just chilling and vibes and catching jokes and just busting up and catching jokes. And then we arranged for a second date. And obviously things happened to Tel Aviv and didn't actually happen. We meant to go to Copper. Copper's a really nice place now. You've been in Copper, London Tower Bridge, London Bridge. It's a very nice place.
No, we don't.
Yeah, very nice place. I mean, the minimum is crazy though, isn't it? Yeah. So you gonna spend a little something.
Is that where the pods are?
Yeah. You gonna spend a little something before you leave that place. Yeah, they got a minimum. They got a minimum spend.
Yeah, I've seen.
They got a minimum spend. Yeah. That's a minimum spend. Do you know what I mean? And I felt no way about it because I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, because I already know you. I already know what you're about. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's not a big deal to splash the cash and do that because you already know who this person is.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is just saying again, but I'd already got to know who she was and what her mindset was about. And I liked it. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying to people, invest your time in mindsets. The other things are coming alongside it. Because as you speak to that person, you should hear what kind of mindset they have. And you should see it in the next few weeks and how they treat you. This person might not be worth your time. What's really happening, I feel like, is women are saying, not all, some women are saying, like, you got to make it worth my time because you might be a waste of time. And the guys are saying the exact same thing. But when guys are saying you could be a waste of time, it's like, you're a brokey. That's why you're saying what you're saying. You're a brokey. You're scared. That's the reason why you don't do it. And yet, I'm trying to tell you, listen, no, we don't know who you are just yet. But if we do, I'm willing to invest. I'm willing to do this, all this stuff as well. So that's why I said at the very beginning, please, let's have some grace for each other. Do you know what I'm saying? In that regard and stuff. So, like, let's have a bit of grace for each other. That's all I'm saying. You feel me? In that aspect. Anyway, I got a video that I wanted to play. Sorry, I got another video. This was less dating. I think it's more relationship, but still it's along the finance part. So I wanted to play it before we can talk about the love you more stuff as well, bro, that you want to talk about as well. Actually, there's 2 videos I wanted to play. There's one here as well, bro. Let me put this on this and see what you think of this. I didn't really listen to it all the way, but I was like, 5% rule. Okay. What that means is it sounds like it's American as well. Okay, cool. Let's see what let's see what they say, bro. I just picked up on this on Twitter. There's 2 videos I want to show you. This is the first one.
Finances and dating are the 2 aspects of millennial life that tend to have the largest impact. So when the 2 become intertwined, things can get tense. So my solution for that is what I call the 5% rule. What that means is you don't spend more than 5% of your monthly income on dating for the entire month. So if you're making $5,000 per month, you're not spending more than $250 per month on dating. What that'll do is help you stay on budget, and that'll cause you to be more creative on the dates you go on. Finances and dating are the 2 aspects of...
You said 5%. Yep. If you're going on 1 date, it's good. You're going 2, that's 10% of your budget. Y'all gotta be selective in how you go out, boys.
You know what?
I done my
Yeah,
job.
I've been in a situation where I think I was spending a third, not even of my budget, but a third of my salary, a third of my monthly salary on dating. And yeah, no, and I did it because I want to. I did it because I say let's go have a good time. But to me, I look back as that as just being irresponsible financially. So because let's say when you settle down, you get married, you can't sustain that because other things now matter more. Whether you're saving for marriage, whether you're saving for a house, now you have a mortgage to pay, now you have kids. Those things will show you how you actually should be spending your money or how you should have prepared in advance. It's just that we all can be so excited to do what we want to do or to get what we feel that we need to get, that that entitlement, that wants, that selfishness foregoes sensibilities at times. So, I think, I don't know if no is trolling or not, or if this is actually how she feels. Men who have the ability to spend, do you know what? There are some men who there's nothing you can do. They're just going to give you the bare minimum, even if they're millionaires. There's nothing you're going to do, right? But there are some men who want to spend, right? But they just want to spend on someone who they feel is worth it. That's it. Not someone who feels entitled, just because they're a woman, just because they're on a date. No, they want to say, if I'm truly going to come outside of this box and give you this life, I want to make sure that you're for me. And there's nothing wrong with that. A man having that boundary, to me, is a man who should be respected. A man who has future in mind, not just in the now. Just because there's ladies, you've again, the principle is the same, even if it's the other way around. Where you've given a man more, he's giving you minimum, and you looked at it and you thought, I can't sustain this. I can't keep doing this. This does not work out for me. I keep being used. I keep being made a fool of. It's the same thing for men. This is why we're saying what we're saying. That's not a sensible thing to do. Even these athletes, right? They're trained not to come out in the media and say much. But when you actually know them and speak to them properly, and they're of a certain age, they will all look back and tell you, why did I do that? Why did I waste so much money just doing all this foolishness? They'll say, why did I waste so much money on women? Women who won't even look at them today. Women who will just jump onto the next one tomorrow, simply because of that lifestyle, entertainment, money. So again, we're giving you man mind. So it's okay to have your standards. It's okay to want to be treated. We're not saying, a man should not take you out on a date. That's not the conversation. We're saying that people need to be reasonable about what they are doing. They need to have a future in mind about what they are doing. They need to have a conversation and manage their expectations. They need to manage their expectations and actually just be mature about it. That's it. That is it. Like, I don't understand why this is so hard. I don't understand what. Do you know what? No, I'm going to say this. Like, people need to be more braver. In fact, men need to be more braver about putting their foot down and saying, no, this is how it's going to be. If you don't want to rock with that, that's fine. That's no problem. I'm not going to dislike you or hate you. I just know you're not the one for me. That's the way I see it. Men need to be a bit more braver instead of taking advantage of. Because now ladies are more braver because they have been taken advantage of so many times. So now they're stepping up and saying, this is how it's going to run now. This is what's going to run on my terms. And do you know what? Well done. Because all this bare minimum standard that some ladies are accepting, I don't understand it. But well done. Well done for that. However, what that's created in a lot of people is entitlement. Just like there are certain guys who will go out and say, I've spent on you, and therefore I deserve access to your body. Entitlement. Just be careful of these things. It works the other way around. Like, the way I see it is, it's very easy to become like the men that you say are a problem because of the same mindset, because of the same principle. The route may be slightly different, but it's the same outcome. It's the same point to be made. It's just about what I can get, what I feel I deserve. I. And that's not what relationships are like. That's not what true happiness in dating is like. There has to be understanding. There has to be compromise. There has to be wisdom in the things that you do. And you have to have a future mindset, not how much can I get today? It's what are we building towards tomorrow? Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I won't even add to that, bro. I won't even add to that. I'll put the second video because I won't even add to it. You said it all, bro, to be honest. So I don't even add on to it and spoil the goodness that you put up on that screen for us, bro. There's another video which is itching. It's for less. I don't know if did I catch it still. Hopefully I got it right video. And it's to do more with, let me see if I got the right one. Okay. And it's to do more with people spending in general, less dating, but more spending. In fact, actually, no, this one, I'll play this one as well.
I'm
You know this one. You don't know you know the person, but you don't know this one, bro. This one's wild. Chidi!
I've seen this.
Chidera. Have you seen this one?
Yeah. Go and play it.
a Nigerian woman, and I've lived in Nigeria for long enough to observe that it is unfortunate what I'm about to say, and I wish this wasn't the case. Okay. But it is unfortunate that if you want to get the best dating experience, especially out of African men, specifically Nigerian men, then it has been said severally by women who are involved in this particular lifestyle that it is better to date married men. I'm a Nigerian woman and I've lived in Nigeria for...
Just a quick thought. I'm being facetious, but just a quick thought. What's your thoughts, bro? Me, I'm Ghanaian, so I don't know about this lifestyle. Just a quick thought. What's your thought, bro?
Wow. Well, I mean, for those for those in America, in the UK, we are way more in touch with our culture back home in Africa. There ain't a dig. I just understand like our origins in terms of how we got to the West is just very different, and what's happening
out here on this app
has been horrible, right? But so the mindset of what she's trying to say, we actually 100% understand, and it's quite simple. These uncles, these married men they're not leaving their wives, they're not divorcing their wives, but in order to keep these young women, they're not attractive, by the way, but in order to keep these young women, they have to spend. They have to make it worth their while. That's simply what she's saying. And there are plenty of men who are willing to do that. That's it. And this is the point. Because it's not that these guys are attractive. Oh my gosh, you're married. Oh, I wish you married me. That's not the case. I want to have a good time. I want to come out looking at one babe. There's this guy who's willing to spend on me. He's already married, so I don't even need to think about getting into a relationship or anything with him. If he wants to do it, I'm going to do it. It's just purely money based. That's it. If that's your prerogative, that's entirely up to you. But again, it's the mindset. It's the mindset. Now, to me, I see both people as wrong in this sense. What he is effectively doing to his household, from spending outside, that means there's less money in that household. That's ridiculous to me. Like, I hate things like that. And at the same time, for this lady to knowingly partake in that, that's an issue as well. Because at the end of the day, when you get married, you don't want that happening to you. So, yeah, to me, that's just the nonsense of it. Go ahead, bro.
Bro, I ain't gonna add. I just wanted to just it was a short one again. I just wanted to just play it. I thought it was funny, that's all. So but this is a really interesting one. This is less about dating but more about spending. This is really fun. I think a really interesting video thinking about what you were saying about everyone about long-term objective and thinking as well when it comes to relationships.
Your fixed expenses. The math out here on this app is crazy. Let me show you.
I make $80,000 a year with a $528 car payment, credit score of 730. What can I afford? Let's do the math. Right, doing the math first. $80,000 a year divided by 12 is $66.66 for her gross monthly income. Lenders use about 50% of that for conventional loans, so $33.33 is her max. She has a $528 car payment, so the maximum mortgage we can approve her for is $28.05 a month.
Which she then goes on to equate to a $400,000 house. Okay, first of all, if you make $80,000 a year, congratulations. And second of all, you don't actually make $80,000 a year, right? Like, here's the math. So you got to pay federal income tax. You got to pay Social Security tax. You got to pay Medicare tax. For the sake of the scenario, let's just say you live in a state that has no state income tax, which is not the case for most of us, but I digress. In total, that's around $15,980. Like, could be more, could be less, but around. So really, you're making $80,000 less $15,980, which is actually $64,020 divided by 12, which is $53.35 per month. Most of us that are in the workforce and have received paychecks know that we don't actually get $53.35 most of the time, right? Instead, you have your health insurance taken out. If you're saving for retirement, that gets taken out as well. But let's just say, for the sake of this argument, because it really doesn't make sense anyway, that you're getting all $5,335 in your bank account every month. Okay, let's move on. We know a couple of things. We know that the home with PMI and taxes is $2,801 per month, and that the car this person is driving is $528 per month, which means the total for these two items is $3,329 per month. This is the cost just to own these two things. This is not the cost to put gas in the car or heat the home or have internet, just to have them. So our monthly income less the $3,329 it is to just own a house and have a car leaves us with $2,006 to do everything else in our life. Are you getting it yet? No? Let's add some expenses, some real life, very conservative expenses. You own a car, you own a house. At the very least, you want to insure both of them, right? Which, like, I mean, come on, that would be such a steal. How about gas? Or heating, cooling, electric, and water? Internet, cell phone. You never go out to eat. You only eat at the grocery store. With that $656, you're going to furnish your home, pay for anything that goes wrong in that home, have money to register your car, buy clothing, some makeup, fly to your cousin's wedding in Bora Bora. Remember, in this scenario, also, you're paying $0 for healthcare, and you're saving zero money for anything ever. Not an emergency, not retirement. Heaven forbid you had kids in this scenario, because the average cost.
Wow.
I think that goes to the point you were talking about earlier on about, let's be freaking real. You got to start thinking long term in your objectives, especially as a man. What's your thoughts, bro?
And that's what makes a man a true leader, that he is able to think long term and say, we shouldn't, like, this is not okay. If you want to do it once or twice, fine, no problem. But to be consistently putting yourself in a position where you're just throwing money away, especially for fun, especially for entertainment. And we had this conversation a few weeks ago to do with the Beyonce concert. Like,
Yeah.
there's a level of responsibility that all parties need to have. Now, it's easy for ladies to see what we're saying as negative, because it's the men who are the ones who are spending. The ladies, if they have their time wasted, it's just literally their time. But for the men, it's their time and their money. And that hit can be a big hit. And when you think about the things that are to be paid for, I mean, you will start to think, I can't be doing this. This is not okay. This is not responsible. Especially when you get into a relationship and you get married. All the bills that this lady mentioned is things that you care about more. If these things are not covered and the guy just wants to take you on his lavish dates, I mean, even if you see these things before you get married, you're going to say, nah, this guy ain't for me. Because it doesn't show a level of responsibility. Because the basics need to be taken care of first. And if he's taking care of the basics and he says, you know what, babe, I can't be doing this lavish dates, that is a responsible man. I don't see it any other way. That is a responsible man. When he has the ability to, he will take you out. He will work himself, up his money, get into business, wherever the case may be. And whatever he can do, he will do more of. But that is a responsible man. Not a man who is just throwing the money around for someone who, 50% chance that she's not even interested. That don't make sense to me. I will never teach my son that's a great way to operate as a man. Absolutely not. And I won't even say to my daughter or my daughters, just go out and waste a man's time. Tell them to take you to the best restaurants, even though you don't even know if you like it. The restaurant is not going to determine whether you like the man or not. It's his time and his conversation, getting to know him. That's where, to me, the disconnect is. You don't need an expensive date to know whether you like someone or not. You know, and to me, how can you even enjoy the date to the fullest if you don't even like someone? Because regardless of what you do, if you truly like somebody, it doesn't matter what you do. And when you do those great things, it will be enhanced. This is why, for me, there's a disconnect in my brain. I can't get it. But like I said, I've never had to really deal with that in my life. And I thank to God that I'm not on the market. I thank to God that I'm not on this dating scene. So, bro, I pray for you, bro, because
No, but you know what it is? I think those who are like and who like me will understand where I'm coming from. So you see what I'm saying? So you have to meet like-minded people, which is why I'm saying the ladies should continue doing what they're doing. Hopefully you'll meet a like-minded person. As for me, it's not for me. But you want to talk a little bit about the subject that's been coming up in our live sessions the last few weeks, and the fact that talk about this loving you more. Women who should love who more. By the way, ladies, Jay Anderson wants to have his say on this. So before you start shooting me, asking why I can't let it go, Okay, he wanted to have a discussion about this situation. So before you start shooting me, telling me you ain't let it go, coach, I actually have not. I've not let it go, but I'm just saying, it wasn't me who brought it up. It's Jay. Okay, all right, but go for it, Jay. You want to talk a little bit about it? What's your thoughts to this question that's been coming up on our panels for the last 2-3 weeks about who should love who more? What's your thoughts to this particular predicament and this question and this title and this particular phrase that's been spoken about?
Do you know what I've listened to quite a bit, right? And I would say on both sides, there's valid points. There's valid points as to why, you know, they all see things a particular way and why they operate in a particular way. But one of the questions that I ask people in general, what is the outcome going to be? And what I feel like is a lot of ladies have, you know, not that they've put themselves in this position, but either they've dealt with the wrong men or parents or aunties or whoever gave them the wrong advice. Because that advice was based on what? Protecting yourself, thinking if a man loves you more, he is less likely to cheat, less likely to do A, B, C. So he is more likely to be the man they need him to be. However, when you are operating at a deficit, to me, you are, you know, because it's a response to men who are not giving you enough, you are being exactly like the men that you say you don't want to entertain. That to me is, I don't understand why people don't see it that way. Because a proper relationship is reciprocal. We talked about this today. You know, a man is willing to do so much for a woman who's reciprocating his efforts. But when someone wants to take a step back and the conversation is, no, we're not taking a step back. I know there was some lady that mentioned that. Listen, in the reality of the situation, if you are restricting yourself from doing more from someone, it's going to be felt. It's going to be felt. That's it. It's going to be. And
thank you for explaining that.
Poisonous. It's a poisonous situation. Ladies, have you ever been in a situation where the man's okay, but you feel like there's a bit of him that you just don't have? There's a part of him that doesn't love you enough, even though he says he does, even though he may be all right, but there's a part of him that you know you don't have. And how does that make you feel? It's the same thing for a man. You can make him angry, you can make him bitter, you can make him resentful, you can make him act immature, make him act like a child, you can make him venomous towards you, you know, you can make him cheat, he can disrespect you, you know, he can play around with you, talk to you today, not talk to you tomorrow. Listen, we're all human beings. That's not the way to have a happy relationship. And if that's your situation where you feel that's what you need to go into a healing. Go into a moment of healing, because that's not going to help you. That's not an outcome. When you look at successful marriages, that's not how they operate. There has to be a level of effort in both of them. Imagine, think about it. I didn't say 50-50, because as we know, in relationships, marriages, one will be more, one will be less. You know, it's like seasons. It's over time for whatever reason, okay? Where someone is the one putting more of the effort. But what we're talking about is an intentional, purposeful act of, I'm just going to give you less of me and I'm going to expect more of you. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. And the idea that a man is not going to cheat on you because you feel like he loves you more is rubbish anyway. A man will still do whatever he's going to do if he chooses to do that. So that's not going to happen. The best thing you can do is to live with no regrets and put in effort. If it doesn't work out, then you know at least you've tried. That man can't come back to you and start swindling you, telling you that you didn't put in the effort, etc. Why don't we try again, when you know that's not for you? If you've put in the effort, and remember, as Christians, it's not, you know, minimal. It's put in as much effort into this so that it can work. If it doesn't work, you go your separate way. That's what God expects when we say that we love. He expects us to love that person properly. There's no two ways about it. But if it's difficult for you to do, if it's a struggle, that's fine, no problem. We understand why that happens. But you need to embark on a healing process. And the same thing for men. We see these guys in the manosphere, right, talking the utmost nonsense about never love a woman, don't treat a woman ABC. That comes from a place of hurt because of how they've been treated before. It's the same thing that they're doing. They're trying to put themselves in a position of power where they feel they have power over this person. And if they want to drop them today, if they want to leave them today, they can. Do you know what? I had one girl say to me one time, I said to one girl, I'm the worst person to break up with, because once I'm sure that you no longer want me in your life, I'll go my way. I'll go my way. I will not be calling you. I will not be on your line. I will not be turning up at your house. I will not do anything. I'm the worst person. Now, what she said to me was, well, I feel like if we ever was not together, that's you would be the opposite with me. I said, really? Okay. I said, no problem. When things didn't go, when things walked away, when things didn't go the right way, I said, okay, how am I going to operate with this? Once I made sure, I said, I'm done. No problem. I've operated like this 5-6 times in my life, and the same thing has always happened. Because they operated from a place of, I need this love more than I'm willing to put into him. They couldn't quite understand why I was willing to walk away happily. And they all came back to say, I'm sorry, I should have put in the effort. I know if I put in the effort, we likely would have been together, been married, ABC. So in my life, these ladies have shown that however they're operating, wherever it comes from, it doesn't work. So the next time they get with someone, they need to make sure they put in the effort. Just make sure you put the effort into the right guy. Okay, that's what I'm going to say. Take your time. It's not every person that's worth your while. To me, that's my thoughts. Like, it's not a healthy way to operate. The outcomes never equate to what people think they will equate to. There is no circumstance where it does. Like, and don't assume with these celebrity couples or etc. You have no idea what's happening in the household. What you see is what you see in public. Have a conversation with them if you're able to, and then you really know what's happening. Because not everything needs to be there for the world to see. Go ahead, bro.
I've said all I can say on this topic, but they already know I don't rocks with this whole men love women more. It's not in my vocabulary. It won't be my vocabulary. It's never going to be my vocabulary. You understand? You want someone to love you more? Tell Jesus, because that ain't my particular place, and I ain't going to outshine him. Okay, so you already know my thoughts and feelings. Let's jump into the last topic then. The topic, the main topic of the actual thing, which was Jjordan Poole. He's said to have spent 500K on a first date. 500K on a first date. And I want to get your thoughts. Is this too much, or are we just too broke?
Bro, if I was a millionaire, if I was a sports player and I could spend 500K, the answer is would I? And I've had this argument many years ago with different people. And for me personally, no. I honestly believe why? Because you're not my wife. Like, I have to think about it, right? Things don't work out, so what? I have to spend 500K on the next girl because she's gonna feel a way that I've spent on this person who wasn't really interested, who's most likely going to be the one to walk away. But now she's interested. I'm trying to minimize. She's going to feel away. And at the same time, how many other dates am I going to be spending this amount of money on? It's not like this is my fiance. This has been my missus for years. This is just a simple date. So this is him trying to say, look how much money I have. Well, can you hear me? Can you see me? Yeah, that's not a sensible mindset to have, and I just don't understand. I really don't understand. Like, what's going on? That is serious financial irresponsibility. If this guy has financial advisors, which he should do, they're going to be livid. His mom's going to be livid. His dad's going to be livid. His family's going to be livid. It doesn't make sense. So I hope this story is not true, by the way, because it sounds ridiculous. And what are you spending on? Did they fly to Dubai and buy all these watches and golds, and like what are you spending on? Because now he has to maintain that. Now he has to sustain that. And don't forget, as I said, an athlete's shelf life is less than if you're doing it through business, if this is how much you earn in a workplace. So he has to make sure that throughout his career, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, so that when he gets injured or when he retires, like the story I gave maybe about an hour and a half ago, that he is still able to sustain this. Because to me, this is deeply irresponsible. There's nothing that anyone can say to me that will tell me that this is responsible behavior. I don't care if you're a millionaire. This is not responsible behavior. This is crazy. Go ahead, bro. Unless you can write out.
Yeah, I think personally, listen, look, it's a first date. Unless he really knows this woman, I got to be you got to be very, very careful. You got to be very, very careful. You hardly know this woman, so there's no return on investment per se on this situation. Take it easy, sir. You know what I mean? Take it easy. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying that you can't spend a little bit of change. I'm just saying take it easy. And my thing is, and again, we we don't know if this story is 100% true, but it's been reported, right? So let's say he didn't spend that. But my thing is he leading with money, or is this just that he can flex like that? That's the question I'm really asking here. Is he actually flexing with money, or is he leading with money? And what I mean by that is a flex is I can do this. I just wanted to show you I could do it. Whereas the other one is saying I'm leading with money, meaning I don't have no other game. All I know is how to throw money at it. You know what I'm saying? So the key question I'm trying to decipher between the two, is that the case? Now, if my son was doing this, the way he'll get a slap upside his head, are you all right? And it's like, I'm not trying to police your money. I want you to think. I want you to think long term. I want you to think goals. I want you to think future. Why are we splashing 500K on a girl that's not your girl yet? You know what I mean? It's a first date. Why? It's not your girl yet. You know what I mean? At least if you bought this girl a house, it's in your name. You understand? At least if you bought this girl a Bugatti, it's in your name. At least if you bought this girl a Ferrari, it's in your name. But if we're spending frivolous money, and again, I don't know how. Again, we don't know how 100% true this story is. It's more of a anecdotal for the rest of us, though.
Mm-hmm.
If we're just spending money anyhow, anyway, then we're really not being responsible with the stewardship of the finances that we have. I'm not saying he should give it to the poor. I'm not saying he should go and start up a shelter. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying to him is, my brother, what are we really doing with this money, and what's our plan with it? So I'm just saying, like, take your time, bro. You know what I mean? Take your time and make sure that you have investments as well. It's not just you spending frivolous money and being a young burner, because we've seen athletes go broke because they don't know how to handle the finances that they got, and they don't realize that they got you getting. Listen, you can get. I think he's about to be on $100 million contract. Beautiful, but it's not going to be forever. You know what I mean? You got what, 10, 15 years, 20 max. If you're one of those people that are really pro athletes and you started young, yeah, 20 max cap, right? And probably for the next 8 to 10, maximum 15, probably your maximum earning years. You have to think that after this, what's my next move? Would I need to be venture capitalist and stuff like that and stuff, other things? You don't have the 9-to-5 life we have, sir. Yeah. So your lifestyle is completely different. Remember, your lifestyle is you've already started enjoying a particular lifestyle. It's very difficult for people to go back into an average lifestyle because they haven't got money. Not because they have money, but because they haven't got money. It's very difficult. Your health mentally can be affected by the fact that you realize, hold on a minute now, I may not even I may get injured or something, or I may lose my form or something, and you know what? They may drop me, and I may not have that money coming in the same way. How can I live on that basic lifestyle, or I should say basic, but an average lifestyle? Probably not. It's hard to go backwards than it is to go forwards. So hopefully one of his mentors just grabbed him by the ear and said, "Don't ever do that again." Oh, sorry. Don't ever do that again. You know what I mean? Think sensibly. Don't just spend frivolously as young men. Someone said Mike Tyson, as well. And again, don't let the money run you. You should be running the money. So for any young man out there, it's going to the whole conversation what we spoke about today, which is okay. For him, it's 500K. For me, it's a coffee thing, whatever it is. But you've got to be very careful how you spend your money, because you're trying to think long term, as well. And we're trying to think legacy. You know what I mean? We're trying to think what legacy you're gonna leave for your children. What's gonna be left after you pass too. It's not just about you today. So just keeping that in mind. Again, you know, for the young man.
And they're both 23 years old. So what are the chances that they're still going to be together in what, 6 months, 1 year? That's all I think about. Again, because someone, I don't know if X is, or they just put X there. So obviously they wanted to remain anonymous. But as mentioned, he's a millionaire. Why are we talking about his finance, etc.? It's not about him. It's about the irresponsibility that we're trying to tell other men. Just don't fall into that trap. Because as I said earlier, the likelihood is this is just going to be a waste of his time. And think about it. If he had to spend $500 just to get with her, whatever he's going to get or not get, that's not a good sign. To me, that's not even a good sign of a man that you felt this is what you needed to do. Because I can guarantee you, the person who eventually gets her, whatever that means, does not need to do that. The person who she's properly into will not need to do that. And this is where I have that concern, because this is not being financially responsible. There is no way do you know what? Because he's 23, the older players, I can guarantee you, not one of them will go to him and said he did the right thing. Not one. You know, he's already done the deed. But if one of them actually cares about him, they'll pull him aside and say, bro, if this story is true, don't do that, bro. Don't let this money go to your head. Don't let these women go to your head. This ain't right, bro. You need to think about your future. Yeah, you signed that contract, but what if you get injured? What if you can't play anymore? What's going to happen? What about your family? These are the things to think about that to me is so irresponsible in general. And if that's the only way he could get her to go out on a date, or you know, she's going to like me because of this, nah, that to me personally, the types of woman that we've seen her as in public, because we don't know her personally, she's not going to be feeling that type of guy, because there's nothing about him except his money. She's going to go in it, enjoy it, say, wow, this guy spent this much on me. But let's see in 6 months. Let's see in 1 year. In fact, give it 6 months anyway. We'll see.
And I think the biggest thing here as well is, and they obviously I can see the audience are saying that, you know, Ice Spice, she's not, of course we know she's quite big now as well. She has her own money and everything like that as well. So yada yada yada, right? I think the most important thing you can do, if you're a level-headed individual person who's not thinking about just a short term, spending 500k is just not going to be sensible investment. And what is it actually, if this is what impresses her, I'm gonna look at you like you're a fool. Because this, and it's not because I'm not even saying she's a gold digger or anything like that. We're not saying anything like that. It's actually got nothing to do with Ice Spice. It's all to do with him. It's like, if you think that's what's going to work to win her over, you're a fool. This is exactly what I'm talking about. If anything, he should be dating at a coffee shop, not me. You should be taking her to a coffee shop. Do you understand? If anything, he should be taking her to the local Target, because by all means, we all know he has money. Do you see what I'm saying? By all means, we already know you have money, sir. You got nothing to prove. Okay, so we don't. I may have something to prove. You have nothing to prove. They know who you are. Your name's in light. This is Jjordan Poole. He's one of the top players in Golden State now. Now that Steph Curry's kind of taken a little bit of a back burner, he's one of the top players, Jjordan Poole. So this is not a small player anymore. This is somebody who's going to be a world beater, hopefully by the grace of God. You know, continues. So for me, it's again, and what I realize is that a lot of these young men are irresponsible because they have money for so early, and the mentorship that they require is good fatherhood, and sometimes it's lacking. It's like the Jay Morant situation too. It's just poor decision making, and when you have too much too soon, you become irresponsible. And I'm saying it's not that Ice Spice is not worth money. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying she's not worth him spending money. What I'm saying is, what I'm trying to say is, why are we doing this? If we're only thinking about the short term, that money's not worth it. If you're thinking long term, why did you spend it? What was the end goal? You know what I mean? What was the end goal for him? You know? So that's what I'm trying to do. Like, bro, you should be thinking about, does this girl want me for me? Not because she's a gold digger or anything like that, but because these relationships in the limelight always end badly, because I think a lot of people they have less time to spend getting to know, trying to hide, They're trying to make sure they don't get caught by the paparazzi, by the press. Wherever they go, people know them. It can be very hard. Who knows who's a narcissist, who's an egotistical? We don't know this and that. There's a lot of things that are going on in their battlefield that's completely different to our arena. This is why you should be spending time getting to know this person more than even me, because y'all have got something to lose. I mean, I've got something to lose as well, but I'm saying, you know, you got a way more to lose. And when we talk about finances, those who have the most are scared of losing what they have. If you never had it, you're okay. But if you have it, the fear is losing it. So you don't want to. I don't want to be hearing in, you know, some silly situation. 3 years, 4 years down the line, he's impregnated her, or they're married now and they divorce, and then it's the biggest divorce settlement. You don't want to be hearing those kind of stories. Of course, I'm sure someone would tell them and advise them to get a prenup, but they probably won't because they're young and silly. But you know, it's just like, you know, I'm just trying to let people know, like, this is silly, you know. So for any man out there, yours might not be 500k, but like you're saying about your boy, if you spend $4,000, you're looking at it. What's the return? Investment wasn't worth it.
Again, for me, it's just financial responsibility. Again, you don't have to, you know, enjoy, treat, but you don't have to be ridiculous regardless of your finances. Because again, you have to maintain it. You have to sustain it. There will come a point where you financially, you will not be able to do that. You yourself will grow up and look at it and think, nah, like this is not sensible for me. If I keep doing this, think about it. So every time, I mean, okay, let's say he's not going to spend 500k on a date, but he's already set a high level bar. So what's her expectations going to be from that point onwards? Again, we're not saying if this story, we don't know if this story is true, but we're just using this as an example to say he set a high bar. Where does he, like you mentioned, bro, where does he go from here? Because I don't know where he goes from here. I don't know.
700k.
Yeah. I don't know what expectations are. But there's going to be a moment in his career where he's going to have to be more financially responsible. And he's going to be looking at these things as, this is not something I should be doing. All athletes go through the same thing. There should, to me, there should be no one saying, yeah, what he did is right. All athletes go through the same thing and all have the same outcome and say, no, there's absolutely no way that I should have done that for those women that I did it for. And the person who I've ended up married has been someone who actually saved me money and helped make my money grow. This is why she's my wife. But when you're young, we've all been young. We don't really think like this. We don't think all the way. And for some of us, we don't want to listen to the older people who, you know, want to give us that wisdom. We want to believe that we know what we're doing. This is the right thing to do. But do you know what I mean? Like I said, if I know this guy, and it doesn't really matter about the 500k, but if I know someone in my life who is doing it, I'm going to have to speak to them. Especially after going through it myself, by the way. So I know what it's like firsthand to overspend and feel like someone has not given you that effort back in general. To look back and feel like, okay, I've literally wasted money and my time. I didn't need to do all of that stuff. Look what's happened. Hindsight's 2020. But I will pull them aside and say, bro, like 100%. When you get older, nah, you might as well make that decision now, not later. Save yourself some money, save yourself some time, save yourself some embarrassment. There you go.
It'd be like that. Well, listen, young men out there, just take your time, be gentle. Okay, all right, enjoy yourself, have fun. Yes, you know, go places and everything like that. Just be sensible how you spend your money, man. You know, and budget well, you know, because nobody likes a brokey. And I'm talking about a brokey who has money but is a brokey. That's even worse. Okay, you have money but it keeps slipping out your hand. That's a generational curse, though. Somebody will come out and say it's a generational curse. Somebody else cursed you from the village. They'll tell you, but really and truly, you're just really bad at money. Like, come on. But yeah, really great conversation. So I think we've tussled a little bit with the audience, and they've tussled back a little bit. They've given us some pushback.
Yeah, we love it.
It's been fun. We love a little good tussle. We have no problem at all. You know, I told you I'm a sophisticated criminal today. I came to steal some hearts, but don't worry about it. Okay, and some coffee dates as well while I'm there. But you know, so you know, we appreciate the audience for chilling with us for 2 hours or so and just having a good vibe and talk, and you know, more conversations to come in future as well. Like I said, if you ever have any if you have any videos or anything that you want us to respond to, just let me know. Or let myself, Jay Anderson, know as well. That's his name there at the bottom there with his Instagram. Shoot us a message, before I do anything, let me read out these super chats, because Ari was saying that why am I like this? And I said, you know what, Ari, I don't have an answer for that. I don't have an answer for that just yet. Do you know what I mean? I'm in my head, it's making sense. Don't worry, my head is making sense. The plan is coming together. The plan is coming together, I promise you. Didi said also, what's the deal with the ski mask? You know what? The plan is coming together, guys. The plan is coming together. Don't you worry about it, okay? Cap, any last words?
You know what? Thank everyone in the chat. Thank you for your contributions. Listen, we don't want everyone to agree with what we have to say. We want it to be kept interesting. We want different points of views, because we're not people who, if you have a different point of view and it makes sense, both me and Coach would be like, okay, do you know what? You're absolutely right. But we like the discussion. We like the thoughts. We like the debates. At the end of the day, it's up to you what you want to do. Whatever your standard is, whatever your desire is, it's entirely up to you what you want to do. My whole thing is just pay attention to the outcomes. If you need to adjust, then adjust. I don't mean lower your standard to the minimum, and I don't mean higher standard to a delusion. I just mean understand what you want in life and what is the likelihood you're going to get it. Then make your decisions from there. But we love you. We love everyone. Do you know what I mean? As Coach said, if there's anything you've seen that we should react to, let us know. If there's anything you want us to talk about, if there's even anyone that you feel that we should bring on the show to have a discussion, right? We're all for it. We're all for just giving wisdom, education, and most importantly, learning as well. So we love all of you.
Thank you, man. All right. Listen, ladies, we appreciate you guys as well, and ladies, for coming through, chopping up with us. It's been fun. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. We appreciate your vibe. You lot are always keeping it respectful, so I ain't gonna ever be mad as well. So honestly, we appreciate you guys and girls. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. There's a lot that I would do. So as you can see, I've got a mask on my face. But I'm not gonna leave here without nothing. Oh, by the way, guys, as well, listen, I just want to put this as well, just so you know. So if you haven't done so already, make sure you follow our other YouTube, Dark Arts Podcast. If you don't follow it already, Dark Arts Podcast 91. I do breakdowns there about relationships topics as well, but slightly different. I talk about the game. I talk about the game of relationships, the dark arts, the manipulations, those kind of things that people do. And then also as well, if you want a bit more of the breakdown of some of the lives that we have, I've got another channel called LBB 91 Daily, and that will just have daily content that is chopped up of all the long lives. So you don't have to watch the whole live. You can watch a little aspect of it on that channel as well. So if you haven't subscribed to those channels, Dark Arts Podcast 91 and LBB 91 Daily, please go and subscribe to those channels. Like I said, they do different functions. One's for just daily uploads for the super panels that we do and stuff like that. It's chopped up so you can watch it in smaller pieces. And Dark Arts is more for dropping videos about exposing the game. So if you're new to the channel, like it, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification of uploads. We appreciate you. I can't leave you without leaving you with a little something.
I'm leaving here with something. You know what I mean? I'm from around the way. I'm leaving with something.
Listen, guys, it's been great. It's been fun. It's been amazing. I can't see for nothing because I ain't got my glasses on. I have no clue. Most of the time, what you guys were saying in the chat, I was kind of guessing it as well. But yes, we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow night. Actually, no, it's later on today because I said I was going to do Creed 3. So we're going to have a discussion about Creed 3 and what improvements need to be made by the director. There was some more conversation that was happening, guys. You know what I mean? So we'll talk about it. So if you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of the uploads. We appreciate you guys. Stay loaded. Jay Anderson, we appreciate you as well coming through.
You too, my bro.